being starved, tortured, and killed at a camp that promised to turn them into men.
I suffered for years because I was scared to be out. My spirit suffered, my mental health suffered, and my relationship suffered.
All of you, the lesbos, the gays, and the bis are gross. And you know where you're gonna go? You're going to hell.
That a lesbian or a gay man is such a waste, you're basically saying that it doesn't matter what we
I just don't want gender to hurt me anymore, you know. I just want to be happy with who I am.
Tonight, a teacher fired for being gay.
Legally fired because he's gay.
You can play football despite criminal behavior, but being gay, that's where they draw the line.
This is the 11-year-old boy that my family kicked out for being gay.
They say that this country is free, and they say that this country is equal, but it is not equal if it's sometimes.
I was afraid that my parents wouldn't want me around.
I was afraid that I would go to school and no one would want to talk to me and that I'd get bullied.
My greatest fear was that I would go to hell.
But the boy already hated himself because he was dealing with the demonic force of homosexuality.
Built a great, big, large fence, 150 or 100 mile long, put all the lesbians in there. Fly over and drop some food. Do the same thing with the queers and the homosexuals. And have that fence electrified until they can't get out. For years they'll die out.
I hope that one day we too can be judged on the content of our character and not who we love.
You will see a time in which we as a nation finally recognize relationships between two men or two women as just as real and admirable as relationships between a man and a woman.
transgender, it doesn't make me any different than anybody else out there.
Being LGBTQ isn't who you are, it is a part of who you are. Having pride to love someone is having pride to be yourself. Don't let anyone tell you who you are and who you can and cannot be, because you're important.
What's wrong with being a little gay? That all men are created equal, regardless of their race, their creed, their color, or their sexual orientation.
Be the best person you can be, and gay, straight, bi, transgender, whoever you feel true in yourself, it doesn't matter where you're from, you are perfect just the way you are.
It's okay if you're gay.
Because every child deserves a mother and a father. I think every child deserves a family as loving and committed as mine. Because the sense of family comes from the commitment we make to each other to work through the hard times so we can enjoy the good ones. It comes from the love that binds us. That's what makes a family. I don't care.
So I think that you will agree that that was rather powerful, correct?
Yes.
It was for me, it brought it home. I simply, completely compelling. I want to move in now into our Prezi that we made, and we'll talk about best practices as well. Diverse sexuality and gender in schools, learning to support students who present with diverse sexuality and or gender. This may be in the 21st century, and as we are actually moving into the second decade of the 21st century, one of the most compelling yet most overlooked issues for any best practice as a new teacher. The aims of the best practice that we'll be presenting here tonight is to demonstrate a better understanding of DSG and the differences between them. We're going to start talking about the correct ways and, more importantly, the incorrect ways to approach situations surrounding DSG. If at any time you have a question, feel free to stop me. A lot of the questions that young people have, especially in middle school, the first questions that they have when they find out or start having questions about their sexuality, especially if it's homosexual, is why me? My principal shut down a gay-straight alliance because sexuality is irrelevant to the classroom. Many people feel that this term, sexuality, has no place in school, that this is something that parents should take care of, and this is something that is completely off limits. What are your feelings about that, right off the cuff? And thinking about and understanding that for me, I have agreed with that for some time, but I agreed with it because that meant that I didn't have to touch that hot button issue.
I think in the best case, sexuality should be something that's addressed at home, but families deal with it differently, and the reality is it comes into the classroom. It's always going to be in the classroom. It's always going to be addressed.
And with you,
in middle school, it's always going to be an issue because kids have opinions and they have no problem sharing them with each other, with a teacher, with an adult. Not in an unhealthy or disrespectful way.
Right.
They're just wanting to share their opinions. So even in the best, if we lived in a perfect world, sexuality should be addressed at home.
Exactly.
But we don't live in that perfect world.
I mean, absolutely, what a profound point. I have another question. I'm a neophyte teacher still at this point, 4 years. You've been doing it for longer.
Yeah.
What have you noticed about the change, and as far as diversity goes, I'm talking about with LGBTQ students, the change that you've noticed from the time you began, the paradigm shift to today. It seems to me that I personally have some that are very comfortable with who they are.
At first, it was, I think when I first started teaching, students who identified other than in a heterosexual way, were not always ostracized, but always put, you know, they were not as friended as some. Now I see less and less of that. I see more inclusion from the kids' standpoint, from the student standpoint. Kids don't care whether somebody
What do you think
is
that that
straight or
says
gay.
about society? Do you think that that has a lot to do with, like, for example, you know, the media that they see, it's more open. I think that that has done a lot, what you say?
I think it's done a lot. I think kids.
To normalize it and make people realize there's nothing abnormal about it.
Yeah, or you know, that's
Education.
Education. I think and I think the kids like who they like. I
And
mean,
realizing that I have a cousin who's gay, but I love my cousin. The cousin used to have to be in the closet. Or I have a brother or a sister who's gay. Or wow, you've always been my friend and I like you a lot, and now you're telling me that you're gay. You seem kind of normal, right? I think that that's a lot that's going on.
But I think it's just from student to student, it's more accepted.
Yes, I see that as well.
Yeah, but initially,
That's hopeful.
you know, in the early 2000s when I started teaching, it wasn't as accepted. But I think we're very, very fast moving to I think of the adult subject.
Now, I have seen this statistic all my life. It's never changed. 1 in 10. It's about 10% of the population of adults over the age of 26. I think that this is the important word, identify as gay or lesbian. They identify as it. That means that would qualify to mean that they're comfortable with it. But yet, I would say that there are many, many more. If we look at sexuality, and this as the way that we should look at it, as with history, we look at it, we use a timeline. Mathematics, we use a number line. But actually, Freud said that sexuality was and could be placed upon a continuum. And no matter how much someone says that they are 100% heterosexual, or perhaps someone saying they are 100% homosexual, that does not exist. All people fall on a line somewhere, and if we call this 0, and this being more heterosexual, and this being more homosexual, all people fall somewhere along and on those lines. What do you think about that?
I mean, I can see where that's
about the point that no one is 100% anything.
I think
that's profound. I think that that's a very profound statement. And
But
I think it's something also to think about, you know? It kind of let it immerse in, you know what I mean? You don't have to like have an answer for it. We don't know the answers, to be honest with you. These are all theoretical models
well,
and everything else.
in reality, life is a process.
Yeah, and life is a continuum as
Yeah,
well.
so-
Your anger, everything can be placed upon a number line of some sort. A continuum is what we should say. However, a growing number of students identify as transgender or genderqueer. 1.7% of humans are born intersex, which means their physical makeup, their DNA, their chromosomes, hormones, and or genitalia falls between male and female categories. With this, we also get into a question which I have thought of. Well, then, what are they, and then how could we judge them from a religious standpoint if we say being gay? If we say being gay is a sin, and they have both genitalia, it's something to think about. 3 in 5 pupils who experience homophobic bullying say that teachers that witness the bullying never intervene. Have you ever seen that? I know in the hallway here for me, just in the first year that I worked, there were 2 teachers in the hall, and there was a sub, and the sub was talking in a very derogatory manner about boys holding hands and boys liking each other, and talking about how her quote was, "These men out there are turning our boys into queers." And neither teacher that I was standing with, who I respected, said one thing about that, or corrected her in any way. And that disturbed me to a great deal.
I don't think I've ever personally witnessed anything like that. I know if it comes up in my classroom, I address it.
I have no doubt about that.
If it comes up in my presence, I address it. I've never seen anything that I've not addressed.